Hi chaps, a little bit of background on me first before we get into the main content of the video. I do play computer games and a couple of things on my phone. Pokemon Go is called a mobile game, and yeah, so it has to be on your phone. And play Candy Crush a bit as well. So yeah, I am a gamer. I call myself a gamer, but I don't produce gaming videos. There are plenty of really good gaming channels out there. So if you're a serious gamer, serious Pokemon Go player, then check out the links in the description box, and you'll find lots of people who are really good at giving lots of tips and tricks, and they'll give you some really good edited videos with lots of screenshots and yeah, lots of really useful tips. So this video is aimed at people who know they know people, got friends, family who play, they're interested in just getting a bit of background. You might want to take the game up yourself, you want to get a few tips maybe, and you've heard some horror stories, people walking off cliffs and climbing over fences to places they're not supposed to get into, so a bit of background information would be quite useful. So yes, a bit of background on me. So yeah, I do play. My trainer, so the character you make for the Pokemon game is called a trainer. So my trainer is currently almost level 24. I'm just a few thousand points away from getting to level 24. So that's pretty good for somebody who doesn't pay anything. I haven't paid anything within the game yet, and so it's another question: how does the company make money? So I've got a list of questions and answers I want to talk about, to go through. I've got them on the screen behind the camera there. So yeah, how does the company make money if you can play the game basically for free? But I'll get into that. So yeah, let's talk about the name first. So a lot of people are getting confused about the game itself, the name itself. So Pokemon is a contraction of Pocket Monsters. So you've got the first bit of Pocket and the first bit of Monsters, so you've got Pokemon. And the plural is also Pokemon. So two Pokemon is still Pokemon. It's a bit like sheep really, so more than one sheep is still sheep. So yeah, it's the same word for plural and singular. Can you play at home? Why can't you play at home or on your computer? Well, you do need a phone, so it can't be played on a regular desktop or laptop computer. It has to be on a mobile phone, and the phone has to be quite good, a sort of recent type smartphone yeah, to play. And so yeah, why can't you play at home? You can play a very limited amount at home, and you're given some supplies to play and to catch your Pokemon. You need Pokeballs to capture the Pokemon, and you will run out pretty quickly, so you will need to go out to get supplies. So when you go out, there are three things you're looking for: Pokemon, Pokestops, and gyms. The Pokestops and the gyms are fixed items, so when you're looking at your screen you will see these particular things, and they're always going to be in the same place. And yeah, so they'll be like attached to maybe a village hall or a church or some wildlife entrance to a park maybe, or something like that. And these are fixed sort of things. They kind of look like blue. The Pokestops are these blue spinning kind of diamond shapes, and they turn purple when you've interacted with it. And the gyms are also sort of these big, sort of quite imposing looking things, and that's where you can battle other Pokemon, but that's kind of more advanced. You can only battle at the gyms when you get your trainer to level 5. So your character, you customize your character to play the game, who will be walking about on your screen, so that'll be you on the screen. And so if you're looking at the screen of a friend who's playing, you'll see those little characters that are walking forwards just in front of you on the screen, and that's called your trainer. So once you've got to level 5, there's a bit more you can do in the game, and you'll get more supplies and stuff as well. So yeah, so you're looking for three things: Pokemon, Pokestops and Pokegyms. The Pokemon are the random items, obviously the actual creatures themselves, and they'll just appear randomly. You'll see more of them around certain places. So around Pokestops, where there's a lure module, you can place these special items on a Pokestop, which other people can see as well. So more Pokemon will appear around these lure modules as well. So Right, so that's sort of why you can't play at home, basically, on your computer. It is a mobile device game, and so yeah, why is so how does a company make money, basically, if it is a free game? Well, they're banking on the fact that you're going to get hooked on this, and to progress quicker, you can, and it's also it certainly helps if you're battling people of higher level. If you can buy items, they're hoping that you're going to get hooked, and then there's a shop feature in the game where you can buy more supplies, and it just helps you progress through the game quicker. So there's things called lucky eggs, and I'm not sure if there's much point me at this point going into too much detail about all these extras. The lucky eggs give you help you get you extra XP, and you can progress through levels quicker, and these lure modules as well. So there's all these extra things you can buy, but you do get them free in the game, and I'm determined at this point whether I'll cave in eventually, and that's what they're banking on, whether I'll cave in eventually and actually buy some of these extra items. But in theory, there's nothing in the game that you can't earn. You might just have to wait and get higher levels to get some of them, but you can play the game perfectly well, perfectly effectively if you're patient. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? If you're not a very patient person, it's so tempting to buy some of these items, and some of them are like really very cheap. You can get in-game coins. So you can earn the in-game coins. It don't cost you any money, but you can buy the coins to. It's kind of like going to another country. You have to buy the currency in the other country. Same sort of thing. So there's the in-game currency. So you can buy that with real money, and to buy these extras. So, but if you're patient, you don't mind waiting a bit longer, you will get these items anyway. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I think nearly level 24. That's pretty good for somebody who's not paying for these extras. Yeah. So. Yeah. So what? Yeah. What are the? So I've gone over what are the players looking for, and why do people need to walk a lot, and sometimes they stop a lot as well. So if you know somebody's playing the game, you can see kind of maybe slightly erratic walking patterns sometimes, and I'm sure there's people who see me walking around the park. I've sometimes spent 1 or 2 hours just going around the park. It takes about 20 minutes to walk around the whole circumference of my park. And there are 11 Pokestops and 2 gyms, and it is brilliant. That is a pretty good setup for somebody who can effectively play the game, the full scope of the game, just in the park. I probably won't get all the Pokemon, all the different types of Pokemon from that one area, so I'm going to have to travel a bit more. I've gone into the main town a few times, and into London. There are some Pokemon that are regional specific. So if you do want to catch them all, so the main aim of the game is to catch all the Pokemon, and to level up your character. The maximum level of your character, your trainer, is 40, and you need to catch all the Pokemon as well. So that's really the main aim, is to catch all the Pokemon. So I can do pretty much everything and catch quite a lot of different types. I think I've got something like 70 different types, and there's 150. There's something like 140 or 150 in the first release of the when the game first came out. Not this particular game, but the original Pokemon game came out in the 1990s. There were 151 different types of Pokemon, I believe, something like that. And so if I want to get anything like that number, I'm going to have to travel a bit more, and there are some that are regional specific, so you might have to travel the country and even different countries to actually get all of them. So I don't know if I've missed out. So I'm asking myself questions and trying to answer them. So hopefully I'm covering sort of everything here. I may be going into too much detail possibly, but I'd rather cover perhaps a bit more. If you have any more questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments section. Anyway, so yeah, people are walking quite a lot. So this erratic behaviour basically is they're going to the Pokestops. They can see on their screen where they're going to get more supplies at the Pokestops, and so you may see somebody walking, they stop, they swipe their screen because they're interacting with the Pokestop, and they get their supplies. They might then turn around and walk in a different direction, and then they stop again and swipe their screen getting more supplies, and then walk along. They might see a Pokemon. Oh, got to catch the Pokemon, tap on the screen to sort of activate that Pokemon to bring it up on the screen properly. Then they swipe up like this to throw the ball at the Pokemon. Hopefully they capture it. Quite often the first one or two throws misses, and so you could easily use up a few Pokeballs capturing a particularly awkward Pokemon. Some are more difficult to capture than others, and you get experience points. There's various things you get from capturing a Pokemon, not just the Pokemon itself, but various experience points and other things you get from capturing a Pokemon. So there's Stardust, I think, and various things. So anyway, yeah, so people are stopping for these kind of things, and for a gym. So somebody might be stuck standing still longer by a gym, because that takes longer to battle, depending on the level of the gym. And that can be taken over by one of the three teams. So I'm not going to go into all the details of battling gyms, because that's quite... that can be quite complicated to explain. It's not too bad once you get to the hang of how it works, but it can be controlled by one of the three colours, one of the three teams, and it's different if you happen to be the same colour as the team that's controlling the gym. Then it's a different interactive experience also. So yeah, that's a whole kind of subject of another video, I think, the gyms. But yeah, you might be standing there longer if you're battling a gym than if you're just picking up supplies at a Pokestop. So yeah, why do people walk off cliffs and climb fences and go to places they're not supposed to? That's a very good question, because it seems stupid. Why do people do these things? To interact with anything, you're interacting with a gym or a Pokestop, you have to be within a few feet of the item. So although you can call up the details, if you see it at a distance on your screen and you tap on it, it'll bring up the details of that gym or the Pokestop. You can't actually get the supplies from it or interact with it unless you're quite close, and I'm not sure technically what the distance is, but it's probably, I don't know if it's 40 metres or 20 feet or somewhere in between, something like that. There's a kind of sort of circle. It's kind of like ripples on water. It's kind of this concentric rings that appear around your character, sort of faint circles, and as you get closer, as long as those rings encompass touch the Pokestop, then you can interact with it. So you do need to get close to these items. So a gym or a Pokestop, you have to get sort of within whatever distance in feet or meters it is to interact with it. So if a gym or a Pokestop happens to be 100 yards behind a fence, or slightly too far, a few hundred yards behind a fence, the temptation for some people, if they're so into it and obsessed at getting that gym close enough, then they might be tempted to climb walls, fences that they shouldn't be, trespassing and going onto private property. There's that story when the game came out a few weeks ago. There was two chaps who walked off a cliff and there was a fence even, so they were walking up towards the edge of the cliff. There was a fence about 20 yards back from the edge to stop people walking off the cliff, and so they came up to this fence. It wasn't even like they just walked off it. They thought, I don't know if it was a Pokestop or a gym or something just beyond the edge, and or something they saw they wanted to interact with, but because they weren't within range at the fence, they climbed over, and they still then slipped off, but they both fell off the cliff. It must have been not too high up or something, because they both survived, so they didn't die, didn't kill themselves, which was quite amazing. But it was a very dangerous edge. I think they just sort of slipped down it a bit or something. But there are quite a few stories of stories of things I've heard, like somebody got hit by a car, and I'm sure there's probably lots of people got hit by a car. Yeah, but people are doing silly things, going to places they shouldn't be. So that's a warning, and it does come up with a warning. It's quite nice, I suppose, that on the game itself, when you start it up on your phone, it will warn you not to, to be on the lookout, be careful when you're playing, and don't. If it detects that you're going too fast, it'll know. So if you try driving while playing, which you shouldn't be doing either, a warning will come up. It'll actually say, "Don't play and drive." I can't remember the words exactly, but it does warn you, comes up with these various warning signs, which at least I suppose help, hopefully, will make people think twice. Yeah, so certainly shouldn't be going in the car, driving and playing. And there are eggs. I think what's tempting with driving is that there are eggs to hatch. You're given a certain number of eggs, and you can these hatch into Pokemon, and depending on the level of the eggs, there are 3 different levels of eggs, and the better ones, you might get some rarer Pokemon from these eggs. And you have to have them incubated, so you get an incubator, you can put the egg in the incubator, and you have to walk either 2 kilometres or 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres, and there's the measurements are underneath each egg. It'll tell you how far you have to walk to hatch each egg. So this is what makes people tempted, the stupid people, tempted to drive while playing, because if you drive 10 kilometres, you're going to hatch it a lot quicker than if you were walking. But the game knows you're going a certain distance. The game basically works with GPS. So this is something I should have explained earlier on, I think, how the game works. It needs a GPS signal, and it also works with Google Maps. So the game links up with Google Maps. So you've got 3 different things going on at once. You've got the game itself, you've got Google Maps and GPS. So it knows if you're going too fast. Therefore, if you're going in a car, you're going too fast, then it won't go towards the distance for your egg. So you have to go like under a certain, I don't know what the speed limit is for the game. Going on a bike is fine. In fact, well, as long as you still have to be careful on the bike, you can get into serious trouble if you're not paying attention. So that's quite a nice device that they've got built into the game, that you can't go too fast, so it knows if you're in a train even, so it won't work if you're on a train or in a car. Yep, so that's kind of most of it. There's an option when you're capturing your Pokemon, you can have the camera activated or not. So you may have seen these interesting pictures of people have posted on Facebook and other places. Like, I've got this Pidgey, and there's like this pigeon, Pidgey, or other Pokemon sitting on the computer keyboard or their cup of coffee, or other places, and that's because they got the camera activated in the game. You can turn that off, because in fact that it's easier to capture your Pokemon if you don't have the camera activated. So that's a little tip for you, and it also saves the battery, I think, a little bit as well. So although it looks great, it's actually a very nice feature to have the camera activated. You see the Pokemon, they're sitting on your phone or your kettle at home, or sitting on somebody's lap. You're in a park and you've got some total stranger there, to have the Pokemon sitting. You have to be standing in the right angle when you activate the Pokemon, but yeah, you can have them like they're standing in a very strange place. It's quite funny sometimes, but it is easier to capture the Pokemon if you turn the camera feature off. What else have we got here? So yeah, the trainer can get up to level 40. So yeah, the 2 aims really of the game, I think the main aim is to capture all the different types of Pokemon and to get your trainer level up to level 40. So why are people saying it's a sociable game? Because you can basically play this game on your own. You don't have to have any interaction with other people at all. When you're battling Pokemon at a gym, they're the Pokemon that other people have left there. They've already done their battle, and they place a Pokemon on there, and then they wander off. They go and play the game, wander around collecting more supplies or whatever. So you can battle a gym without anyone else physically being there. You're just battling Pokemon that have been left there previously. There's no reason why you actually have to talk to anybody, but it is a very sociable game. It has turned into quite a sociable game, because if somebody activates a lure module, which is something you're given in the game, you can activate this, which is seen by other people. It attracts people to a location, and then people get Pokemon players will tend to recognise other the behaviour of other Pokemon players. You can tell if somebody else is playing, and people get chatting, and certainly in some areas it's very obvious. You've got a whole crowd of people standing around a statue or something. I think this is kind of odd. I've never seen anyone doing that before July when the game was released, so you know that. So people have got, made friends and got chatting with people, so in that respect it has become quite a sociable game. And yeah, so yeah, these there's an incense thing. I'll just briefly mention this incense. It's something you can activate on yourself, so it's kind of like a lure module, but it's you activate it on yourself, and it's only really for your own benefit, and that helps to attract Pokemon appear. But if you're standing still, you'll only get one Pokemon appear every 5 minutes. That's on top of any other random Pokemon, I presume, that would appear. But if you're walking with it, you can get one Pokemon appearing every 1 minute. But yeah, that's just a little extra I thought I'd throw in there. So that's an overview of the game. There might be some things I've left off. That might be more information than you wanted. I'm sorry if it's not a very exciting video. I know a lot of you gamers who might have come across this video expecting a highly edited, fancy, full-featured, animated video, lots of editing and me walking out and have a split screen with the game showing up on one side and me on the other, like a lot of people do. I don't have the fancy software at this point to do this split screen thing with the game showing up on one side. That's actually a great kind of video to watch. You can see exactly what somebody is talking about with the game screenshots, and they actually sort of moving, game on the side. So that's the kind of thing you're going to see if you follow these people that I've linked in the description box. There's guys from America, the UK and Australia, so it's nice to see all those different places, the different kinds of Pokemon these guys are getting, and different tips. So yeah, check them out. If you're a serious Pokemon Go player, you will need to watch these guys. And so I'll leave it there. If you have any other questions about the game or anything else, let me know. So yeah, I'll leave it here, and yeah, so happy hunting, and happy hunting of Pokemon, and I shall see you in another video. Bye for now.